I'd like to welcome everyone to the ceremony of granting the title of Doctor Honoris Causa to Professor Román Tauler Ferré. Please sit down. Ladies and gentlemen, the ceremony that we are starting right now, it's a very important ritual and tradition that we practice in our academic surroundings. This ceremony and its prominence reflect that. I'd like to welcome everyone here. Starting with the persons who have had a direct contribution to the entire procedure for granting the title and for us to be able to be here today. I'd like to start by welcoming the supervisor, Professor Michał Daszykowski. It's a professor of chemical sciences, deputy rector for science and finance of the University of Silesia. His scientific interests concentrate on development and use of chemometric attitudes, simplifying analysis of chemical data, in particular analysis of complex instrumental signals obtained via different analytical platforms and multi-channel detectors. He has published 72 articles in magazines from the so-called Philadelphia list and 10 chapters in monographs. According to the Google Scholar database, his Hirsch index and number of citations are 31 and over 4,000 respectively. In the years 2000-2004, he had a scientific fellowship in the Institute of Pharmaceutical and Biomedical Analysis in the Free University of Brussels, and he cooperated with such companies as Shell, Johnson & Johnson, Unilever. He won a prestigious grant for young scientists awarded to him in 2005 by the Foundation for Polish Science. On a daily basis, he reviews articles for many scientific journals, and during forums where chemical data is analyzed, he also gives speeches. He is also a member of the editorial staff of such magazines as Acta Chromatographica and Chemometrics and Intelligent Laboratory Systems, the winner of multiple awards and distinctions. I'd like to welcome the reviewers, Professor Beata Walczak. She has graduated from the Faculty of Mathematics, Physics and Chemistry of the University of Silesia in Katowice. She started working in the Institute of Chemistry of the University of Silesia. She had scientific scholarships in Austria, in the Graz University of Technology, in France, University of Orange. She was also a visiting professor at the universities in Belgium, Netherlands, Italy and France. From early 1990s, she has been dealing with chemometrics, and her main scientific interests cover all aspects of exploration and modeling of data. Outliers and missing data, instrumental signals, distortion of signals, data compression, linear and nonlinear projections, data modeling methods, etc. She is an author and co-author of about 150 scientific articles, and it is supplemented by numerous visiting lectures and 400 papers presented at international chemical conferences. She was the editor and co-author of the book Wavelets in Chemistry and co-editor of the 4-volume book called Comprehensive Chemometrics. Right now she is an editor in the magazine entitled Chemometrics and Intelligent Laboratory Systems, and a series of books, Data Handling in Chemistry and Technology. She is also a member of the editorial staff of scientific journals such as Talanta, Analytical Letters, Journal of Chemometrics, or Acta Chromatographica.
Witam serdecznie pana profesora Alejandro
Professor Alejandro Olivieri, welcome. Professor Alejandro Olivieri, an employee of the Institute of Chemistry in Rosario, a lecturer in the Faculty of Analytical Chemistry of the National University in Rosario, born in July 1958 in Rosario, Argentina. He is a chemical engineer and PhD specialist in the Faculty of Chemical Sciences, winner of multiple scholarships. He is the author of over 200 publications, books, and chapters in books. He won multiple scholarships. He won the Colex Platinum Award for his contribution to chemical science. His current interests include chemometrics in analytical chemistry. The third reviewer is Professor Olav Kvalheim. He is absent today. He won the PhD in philosophy in the University of Bergen in 1987. The title of Professor of the University of Bergen he was given in 1989, and the title of Professor in 1993. Professor Kvalheim developed chemometrics as a discipline at that university with preliminary and advanced courses, and he educated over 20 holders of PhDs. He also held several positions in the industry and science. He was the co-founder and first head of the Faculty of Chemometrics in the Norwegian Chemometric Society, and one of the founders of the company Pattern Recognition Systems. He was the editor of Chemometrics and Intelligent Laboratory Systems publication. He has published over 200 scientific papers, and his citation index is over 440 in Science Citation Index. He has won several awards, such as the Nansen Foundation Award, and the Gold Hermann Volt Medal awarded by the Swedish Chemical Society, and an award for achievements in chemometrics from the Eastern Analytical Symposium. I'd like to thank in particular the supervisor, Professor Michał Daszykowski, for taking all the efforts and duties connected to this prominent position and for preparing the laudation. I'd like to thank the reviewers for taking the efforts for preparing the comprehensive reviews and characteristics of the activities of the candidate. Well, apart from the persons directly involved in preparing this event, I'd like to also welcome some other persons with us today. I'd like to welcome Mrs. Ursula Bauer, the Silesian Curator of Education, representing the Minister of Education and Science. I'd like to welcome Mrs. Grażyna Burek, the Deputy Head of the Department of Education and Sports of the City of Katowice, representing the Mayor of the City of Katowice. Mrs. Beata Kabza, Head of the Department of Education of the City of Chorzów, who is representing the Mayor of the City of Chorzów. I'd like to welcome representatives of the Consular Corps, Mrs. Anna Krasuska-Terilion, the Honorary Consul of the French Republic in Katowice. I'd like to welcome Mr. Andrzej Żylak, the Honorary Consul of the Republic of Croatia, Head of the Management Board of the Industrial and Commercial Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to welcome rectors of other universities, Professor Grzegorz Hajnderek, Rector of the Academy of Fine Arts in Katowice. Professor Maciej Nowak, Deputy Rector for Science and Development of Academic Staff of the University of Economics. Professor Edward Wylęgała, Deputy Rector for Development and Transfer of Technologies of the Silesian University of Medicine. I'd like to welcome the Council of Senior Rectors, Professor Janusz Janeczek, Rector of the University of Silesia in the years 2002-2008, and Head of the Council, Professor Andrzej Kowalczyk, Rector of the University of Silesia in the years 2016-2020. I'd like to welcome my dear colleagues, deputy rectors of the University of Silesia, Professor Michał Daszykowski, who has this double role here today, and Professor Ewa Jarosz, Deputy Rector for Development of Staff, and Professor Katarzyna Trynda, Deputy Rector for Education and Students. And I'd like to welcome everyone of you, the esteemed Senate, deans, chancellors, academic staff, administrative staff, students, PhD candidates, graduates, the entire academic community, representatives of universities, and all the other guests. In particular, I'd like to welcome Mr. Professor Román Tauler Ferré, the candidate, the esteemed candidate, and I'd like to welcome everyone watching today's ceremony online. So right now, let's give a big hand to everyone. To follow the academic tradition, I'd like to formally start the ceremony of granting the title of Doctor Honoris Causa to Professor Román Tauler Ferré. He's a renowned scientist, an authority in chemometric methods, allowing to explore and model complex chemical systems, an author of chemometric methods, widely applied in chemical sciences, environmental and toxicological sciences. He has received multiple awards, a charismatic mentor, and editor of leading scientific journals. Right now, I would like to ask the supervisor, Professor Michał Daszykowski, to take the floor. Dear Rector, your Dean, the honorary candidates, dear reviewers, dear deans, dear deputy rectors of the previous terms, members of the excellent Senate of the University of Silesia, dear heads of institutes, members of the community of the University of Silesia, dear employees, PhD candidates, students present here and at homes watching this ceremony. I have been asked by the esteemed Senate at the resolution of the Faculty of Exact and Technical Sciences of the University of Silesia to be the supervisor of Professor Ferré. Although the world is changing rapidly right before our eyes, we are now allowed to participate in the special promotion ceremony of Professor Román Tauler Ferré. He was awarded the academic honorary doctorate degree by a proper resolution of the excellent Senate of the University of Silesia in Katowice. Universities award this honorable title to people of science or culture who are particularly estimable. It is a unique moment in the life of an honorary doctor and his or her family, when academic university members learn about his or her academic and scientific background and achievements. Every celebration of this kind is unique. This experience is due not only to the ceremony's setting, but also to the honorary doctor's discernible interaction with the university community, and thus established a permanent relationship. As scientists, we examine, consider, and look at the subsequent stages of his scientific career, frame by frame. We look at such life records. We look for ready and established patterns and attitudes that we should imitate or even partially adapt. During this unique seance, we learn what scientific excellence is, we redefine this concept and discover its various, often sophisticated elements. We design and build a new self. We, people of science, are aware of a complex scientific machine that drives progress and facilitates an understanding of the world around us. Now, let us stop for a moment and concentrate on our honorary doctor, Professor Tauler, and his immediate scientific environment. The ceremony of awarding an academic degree to an honorary doctor is one of a kind lesson from which, I promise, everyone will take something for themselves. It is time to start it. Synthesis and analysis are two opposing concepts at the heart of every civilization seeking to know and understand the world around it. From the earliest beginnings of alchemy, which we today call chemistry, its adherents were interested primarily in synthesis, that is, processes of creating matter, which was variously understood at the time on the path of combining elementary ingredients. Hence comes the name of the discipline chemistry, because in archaic, ancient and medieval times this is how it was primarily understood, that is, as the merging and blending of matter. Over the years, chemists have set themselves the goal of acquiring the ability to create new substances and increased determination to learn about the composition of previously unknown substances or mixtures. Therefore, in the chemist's understanding, analysis is a process that is opposite to synthesis process. It involves identifying the respective components of complex mixtures and determining their respective proportions. It is worth noting that these two objectives are within the domain of modern analytical chemistry, in which Professor Tauler specializes. He graduated with a degree in chemistry from the University of Barcelona in Spain in 1977. In 1984, he received a PhD degree in analytical chemistry at the same university. Since the beginning of his scientific career, he has studied complex systems, that is, those in which many states of equilibrium can be observed at the same time, and has determined their chemical speciation. In other words, such systems form multi-component mixtures of chemicals that appear or disappear with particular dynamics. The capture of changes and the unambiguous identification of chemicals present in the system is a very ambitious task, even when we study relatively simple model systems, which are pretty familiar to us. In this type of research, we see the simultaneous processes of the chemical compounding and breakdown of individual chemicals, which, as the reaction in the system progresses, are gradually weakening to achieve equilibrium states finally. Perhaps this question has already arisen in the more inquisitive minds. What if we want to study processes that are not necessarily entirely directed, that is, planned, such as those that occur in the surrounding environment or living organisms? After all, it is impossible to understand the functioning of the system under examination if we do not fully understand the nature of its processes. So, we need to effectively isolate the individual chemical components and determine their successive stages that the system is going through. Since the 1980s, we have seen the rapid development of instrumental techniques and computers. Thus, the analysis of chemical composition becomes more precise and faster. However, increasing measuring capabilities paradoxically result in chemically important information not being directly available, and its effective discovery requires appropriate conduct and approaches to the problem. During this period, chemometrics was created to respond to the real challenges encountered at the planning stage of the experiment, its optimization, and modeling multi-dimensional and multimodal analytical data. In retrospect, it can be said that chemometrics has promoted a balanced, rational approach to conducting experiments and actively supported the interpretation of their results. The three of its charismatic architects, Professor Desiree Luc-Massor, Professor Svante Voort, and Professor Bruce Kowalski, quickly and permanently infected with this message a large group of followers, including our honorary doctor, who were fully committed to modifying the existing state of knowledge or filling the missing fields of chemometrics. Undoubtedly, his interest in chemometrics must have been born at the stage of writing his PhD thesis. It was primarily due to fascination with with systems of many equilibrium states, which required calculating their thermodynamic parameters and determining their chemical speciation. As soon as he received his doctoral degree, he went to Austria with his wife for a one-year postdoctoral internship, which probably was not an easy decision. Along with Professor Rode, a theoretical chemist, he was developing his scientific workshop. He returned to Barcelona, and in 1987 he was permanently employed at the University of Barcelona, where he conducted his research until he moved to the IDEA CSIC Institute in 2004. Over time, his attention became increasingly drawn to a branch of analytical chemistry emerging right before his eyes, that is, chemometrics. Seeing this as a great chance and opportunity, he went with his wife and 2 children to Seattle for a 2-year fellowship in Professor Kowalski's research group, which at that time, together with the centers in Brussels and Uppsala, was one of the 3 recognizable centers of excellence and development of chemometrics. It was there that the now well-known MCR-ALS method took shape. It is used for chemical speciation of complex systems and analysis of multi-block or multimodal datasets. Let us return to the main concepts I discussed earlier, that is synthesis and analysis, to understand better how it works. This method allows you to create a unique time-lapse movie of chemical transformation, which you can freely rewind and watch in slow motion. The chemical problem, which is as complex as a thick braid of hair, is gradually untangled to finally reveal the initial chemical components of the system. What happens during the subsequent iterations of the MCR-ALS method is a gradual untangling, that is the process of analysis. Making a chemical braid over time, which we can reform based on the parameters of the model built, is in turn a process of synthesis. And that is how a complete model of the system under study is created, providing the basis for implementing a highly beneficial principle. When the problem is more complex and you do not immediately see the possibilities of solving it, you can divide it into a few smaller ones. Given the utility of the MCR-ALS method, its range of application is extensive. According to Google Scholar data, one of the primary articles in which the MCR-ALS idea was presented received more than 1,300 citations. Interest in the method, as well as its modifications, has not faded over the years. Professor Tauler is one of the most recognizable chemometricians in the world, which translates into a very high Hirsch index, which, according to Google Scholar, is 79, with a total number of citations of 26,403. This, of course, is a measurable result of many years of his scientific work. Nevertheless, in my opinion, the most interesting thing is the chosen strategy of proceeding and the path that has led to this outcome. So, what increases the likelihood of scientific fulfillment the most? These essential components are visible in our honorary doctor's life story. Just read carefully the accompanying reviews, for which I'd like to thank Professor Walczak, Professor Olivieri, and Professor Kvalheim. On the one hand, the essential element is mobility, which can be said to be a permanent feature of his professional life. Despite already having benefited from 2 long-term study visits abroad, Professor Román Tauler Ferré often spends time in various research groups on exchanging experiences, transferring knowledge, and looking for new challenges, even in extreme regions of the Arctic Sea. These different yet close encounters with people of science, often exceptional ones, create strong scientific ties. They catalyze further ideas and offer a chance to implement joint intentions or projects, including those co-financed by the EU funds. The main driver of his mobility and decisions is undoubtedly an extraordinary willingness to step out of his comfort comfort zone. Such a specific hunger for new experiences is his greatest asset and allows him to expand his scientific portfolio in an active way. On the other hand, Professor Tauler is heavily focused on developing and promoting the MCR-ALS method. He continues to add new elements to its functionality and continuously improves it. This long-standing scientific fascination and focus can be envied. No matter where he is, I always see him smiling and with a lot of company. These include Anna, Sylvia, Joachim, Carmen, Stefan. His PhD students, as well as other scientists who are willing to spend time with him, for example, during their own scientific fellowships or during conferences. His immediate environment is international and culturally diverse. Such a scientific style allowed him to manage the most prestigious grant project, that is ERC Advanced Grant, funded by the EU within the 7th Framework Programme. He built an interdisciplinary team of determined scientists to assess the global effects of environmental and biological systems, employing chemometric methods and instrumental techniques used in omics research. Notably, 24 experienced scientists, 7 postdoc scientists and 8 PhD students participated at various points in the 5-year project. 87 publications, including 11 chapters in monographs, were published. More than 100 presentations were delivered at international conferences, and 8 PhD students defended their dissertations. Can such a result be achieved without a good idea for research, skillful team integration, and excellent coordination of work? It should be said that his integration attempts are not ad hoc and often go beyond the interest of his research group. Professor Tauler actively integrates the chemometric community as editor-in-chief of Chemometrics and Intelligent Laboratory Systems, published by Elsevier, editor of 2 editions of the 4-volume Comprehensive Chemometrics Encyclopedia, organizer of multiple conferences and workshops. In his case, professional fulfillment is further strengthened by the support of his wife, Clara, 3 children, and close family. In my opinion, his priceless ability to achieve a balance between family and professional life is crucial for every scientist, regardless of age. I met Professor Tauler 22 years ago in Antwerp when I first attended the International Conference on Chemometrics in Analytical Chemistry. At that time, the MCR-ALS method was primarily discussed, emphasizing the need for effective control and analysis of technological processes. There are many new challenges in contemporary environmental and omics research or hyperspectral imaging, which require understanding the initial and intermediate components describing the system or image under study. His scientific attitude and his way of conducting research are inspiring for many. Awarding him with the honorary doctorate degree by the Senate of the University of Silesia in Katowice is an acknowledgement of Professor Tauler's significant contribution to the development of chemometrics, as well as recognition of the role of chemometrics itself, which it has played out not only in the development of analytical chemistry, but also other disciplines, and the process of civilizational and technological transformation. We, the project initiators, present in this hall, Professor Beata Walczak, Professor Ivana Stanimirova, and I warmly congratulate Professor Tauler. At the same time, we thank all those who have left us and who have had contributed to promoting the idea of chemometrics, giving it today's shape and formula. In recognition of those achievements, the excellent Senate of the University of Silesia has decided to award to you, with a valid resolution from the 22nd March 2022, the title of Doctor Honoris Causa. Thank you very much.
Dziękuję bardzo panu profesorowi.
Thank you very much, Professor.
Promotorowi. Teraz proszę pani profesor
Now,
Danutę Stróż,
Professor Danuta Stróż, Dean of the Faculty of Exact and Technical Sciences, please read the text of the diploma and please stand up for this part.
quod felix faustum fortunatum quesit. Summis auspicis serenissime rei publicae Polonorum nos, Richardus Koziołek, artium humaniorum professor Universitatis Silesiae, hoc tempore rector magnificus, et Danuta Strusz, scientiarum technicarum profestrix, facultatis scientiarum exactarum et technicarum, hoc tempore decana spectabilis, et Michał Daszykowski, scientiarum chimicarum professor, hac in occasione promotor rite constitutus in virum doctissimum ac clarissimum, Románum Tauler Ferré, qui nature explorator toto orbe terrarum recognitus, summa autoritate chimicometricarum rationarum ac viarum polet, quibus chimicae structure composite cognosci ad fingi possint, multasque chimicometricas rationes ac vias ac scientas chimicas, omicas, ecologicas, nec non ad examina toxicologica applicandas invenit, homo studiis in defensim dedicus, frequenter premiis ornatus, preceptor optima indole preditus, periodicorum scientificorum maximi ponderis editor ad moderator est. E facultatis scientiarum exactarum et technicarum sententia. A Senato Universitatis Silesia probata, doctoris honoris causa, nomen et dignitatem iura et privilegia contulimus, atque in eus rei fidem hot diploma Universitatis nostre sigillo maiorem munitum, sanciendum curavimus. Dabatum Katowice, di 23 mensis April, anno bis millesimo vicesimo secundo. Danuta Strusz, facultatis scientiarum exactarum et technicarum, hot tempore decana spectabilis, Richardus Koziołek, hoc tempore rector magnificus, Michał Daszykowski, promotor rite constitutus. A teraz proszę jego magnificencję.
Now I am asking His Magnificence, Rector of the University of Silesia, Professor of Humanities, Ryszard Koziołek, to grant the title of Doctor Honoris Causa.
Itacque iam nihil impedit, quo minus honores, quod obtinere cupis, tibi impertiamus. Ergo ego te doctorem honoris causa creo, creatum renuncio, atque doctoris honoris causa, nomen et honores, iura ac privilegia, omnia inte confero. In aiusque rei fidem hoc diploma universitatis, nostre sigillo insignitum, tibi in manus trado.
Thank you very much for this. Proszę, aby wszyscy usiedli.
Sit down.
Uniwersytet Śląski,
The University
chcąc
of Silesia,
uczcić
wanting to
dzisiejsze
celebrate
wydarzenia, przede
today's
wszystkim wielce
event
szanownego doktora
and
honoris
the
causa,
doctor honoris causa, the
pragnie
prominent doctor
ofiarować
honoris
mu
causa here, would like
pamiątkowe
to
dzieło autorstwa
give him an
pani
commemorative
magister Anety Głowackiej z Wydziału
work
Sztuki i Nauk o Edukacji.
prepared by Aneta Głowacka from the Faculty
Bardzo
of
proszę, aby
Art and
pani magister
Education Sciences. I am asking her right now to approach us
aby powiedziała nam słów
and
na
tell us
temat
a few words
dzieła
about
i jego przesłania.
this work and about the message that it carries.
Magnificencjo,
Your Magnificence, your Senate, guests, dear Dr. honoris causa.
Analiza i badania
Analysis and research into chemical structures is an exact
jej
science.
zapis to wizualna
Its
translacja
record is a visual translation of the invisible composition of chemicals,
Sztuka natomiast
while
stoi na
art
przeciwnym krańcu
is
poznawczym.
on the opposite
Wizualna
end
forma
of
jest
cognition,
początkiem dla ukrytej
where the
treści.
visible form is the beginning for the hidden truth and content. When designing this work, this piece of art, I tried to do something connected to chemical reactions. Glass is a material used in laboratories, but glass is also a substance which in its chemical composition gives a lot of opportunities for experiments, including artistic ones. The two panes of glass subject to high temperature have colored the oxides, the cobalt oxide, the copper oxide between, and the fluorium oxide below. In this way, during the creative process, glass turned from solid to liquid, and finally it has consolidated small air bubbles to illustrate three states. Until the very end, I was not sure how it what it would look like. After 5 attempts, I decided to choose this work of art, which for me visually was perfect. It's a great honor and pleasure to be able to participate in such an prominent event. Please accept this statue on behalf of myself and the entire community of this university as a sign of recognition of yourself and your activities.
Flowers. Of course. Please take a seat, professor. Możemy usiąść.
Sit down.
Proszę Państwa, można,
Ladies and gentlemen,
trzeba złożyć gratulacje panu profesorowi.
can and have to congratulate Professor, and I'd like to ask
Zabrali głos pani
the following persons to do this now. Professor Beata Walczak will start. Go ahead.
It's a very special day for you, but not only for you, for me as well. And I have 3 good reasons for this. First, because never before our university has granted an honorary doctorate to a chemist. Secondly, because it was granted to a chemometrician who is an expert in the discipline so close to my heart. And thirdly, it was granted to my dear personal friend, and we cannot pretend that we have too many friends, honorary doctors. I believe that it wasn't very long time where we were fighting for existence of chemometrics. And today it is flourishing, and indispensable discipline of chemistry, able to meet the most challenging tasks of modern science. And this change of this status, chemometrics owes to such charismatic people as you. And at this point, I mean not only your scientific achievements, but also your tireless effort for the good of the entire chemometric society. Just to mention your input in ChemoLab or in the 2 editions of comprehensive chemometrics. I shouldn't omit mentioning your tireless enthusiasm for organizing all meetings, training courses, congresses, conference, all of them focused on chemometrics. Finally, I allow myself to wish you with all my heart many, many years of equally fruitful and dynamic activity in your capacities of a scientist, a teacher, and an organizer. Congratulations.
Dziękuję pani profesor.
Much for these warm words. Now I'd like to ask Professor Alejandro Olivieri to take the floor.
Thank you very much. Good morning. You know that I come from Argentina, and Argentinian writer Jorge Luis Borges once wrote that biography is an attempt of one person to awake in a second person memories that only belong to a third person. And that is a paradox, but it's a paradox worth to be performed. So I like to bring some memories on Román, and this is not about his scientific achievements, because we know that his work is very important for the scientific community, and we also know his generosity in sharing his knowledge to all of us. This is rather a personal note and goes back to the moment we met him for the first time in Barcelona. I don't know if he remembers this, but we went to Barcelona for a short visit at the university with my wife, Graciela, who is here in the audience. And Román was coming back from the United States from a congress on environmental data mining, which means the mathematical and statistical analysis of environmental data. And one morning we went to his office, and he opened the door with a smiling face and told us that he was indeed coming from a meeting in the US, but he did not present anything at the Congress. He did not present a poster or give a lecture. He went there just to study the subject. And that caught my attention, because someone like him decided to go to a Congress to study a subject. And now, of course, he is one of the leading experts in this field of environmental data mining. So this, I have to tell you, is important for us in our family, because we always teach our students and also to our daughters and sons, you should always study. And I guess in the case of Román, this defines the man behind the scientist as someone who is always studying. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Szanowni Państwo, to oczywiście nie jedyne gratulacje, jakie skierowano i zostaną skierowane do naszego laureata. List gratulacyjny.
Letters with congratulations have been sent by President of the Council of Ministers, Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki, which I'm going to read out right now. Your Magnificence, dear laureates, dear ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the invitation to this ceremony. I'd like to congratulate to the University of Silesia and all the persons gathered here. A meeting like that is always a special event for the university. The title of Doctor Honoris Causa is the highest distinction for the persons whose achievements are especially significant for the development of science. Prominent persons, one-of-a-kind minds, to today, this honorary title is granted to Professor Román Tauler Ferré, who has been awarded many times and model for an editor of scientific journals. Dear Professor, please accept congratulations from me, and I really I find your knowledge and achievements amazing, both in chemometrics and other areas of your activity. On this occasion, I'd like to wish you the fulfillment of the most personal and ambitious plans, many further successes, and success in personal and professional life. I'm glad, together with the academic community, and I'm sending the words of honor, Mateusz Morawiecki. On behalf of the Minister of Education and Science, who has also sent the words of congratulations, his letter is going to be read out by Mrs. Ursula Bauer, the Silesian Curator of Education. Your Magnificence, dear holder of the Doctor Honoris Causa title, your guests, participants, it's a great honor for me to participate in an event that is so important for the academic community of the University of Silesia. The Minister of Education and Science, Professor Przemysław Czarnek, has obliged me to say as follows: letters of I'm going to hand over the letters of congratulations, which I am honored to do, and I am humbled in view of such great scientific achievements by the holder of the title and the entire academic community of the University of Silesia. The first letter I'm going to read out. It's addressed at the rector of the University of Silesia. His Magnificence Professor Ryszard Koziołek, Rector of the University of Silesia in Katowice. Your Magnificence, dear Rector, please accept my thanks for inviting me to this ceremony of granting the title of Doctor Honoris Causa to Professor Román Tauler Ferré. I apologize, but some previous obligations coincide with the date of this event, of this ceremony, which is so important for the entire scientific community. To honor the honorary doctor, Professor Román Tauler Ferré, the authorities of the University of Silesia in Katowice have appreciated a prominent representative of science in the discipline of chemometrics. I'd like to thank you, Your Magnificence, for awarding the title of Honoris Causa to Román Tauler Ferré, and I wish the community of the University of Silesia in Katowice to continue to develop, to follow their plans and have satisfaction from work with great respect. Przemysław Czarnek. And right now I'd like to present a letter of congratulations to the honorary doctor from the Minister of Education and Science, Professor Przemysław Czarnek. Professor Román Tauler Ferré, Doctor Honoris Causa of the University of Silesia in Katowice. Dear Professor, please accept words of congratulations on account of being granted the title of Doctor Honoris Causa by the University of Silesia in Katowice. I would like to say that I am really to express words of appreciation for your didactic, managerial, scientific science promotion activities. I am sure they result from many years of scientific work. By granting the title of Doctor Honoris Causa, the Alma Mater Silesiensis community has awarded an eminent representative of science in the discipline of chemometrics. Today, your role of your work has had a great impact on the areas of chemistry, toxicology, omics, and environmental sciences. Some of them, especially the ones connected to exploration and modeling of complex chemical systems, are of pioneering character. No wonder then that they have been noticed at the International Forum and awarded, among others, by the European Council for Scientific Research with the Advanced Grant Award in 2012. The distinction for chemometrics at the Eastern Analytical Symposium in 2009 and the Kowalski Award in 2009. I have great admiration for your interest and for all your intellectual achievements, which includes over 500 scientific works, authorship or co-authorship of multiple monographs, as well as holding the position of manager of many prestigious grants and research projects. Your high level of competence and knowledge are visible in the impressive didactic successes, which so far has included over 20 holders of doctorate degrees, and I'd like to appreciate your membership in multiple scientific groups, such as you were the head of the Catalonian Chemical Society, and you have been the editor or co-editor of leading specialist scientific journals. I am sure that each and every one of these achievements have allowed me to call you a role model and authority in this discipline. Your achievements have been a great contribution to global science, and I'm sure they will be a model to follow by the next generations of representatives of the academia. Again, congratulations on the title of Doctor Honoris Causa from the University of Silesia in Katowice. I wish that you enjoy many years of success with deep respect. With words of deep respect, Przemysław Czarnek, Minister of Education and Science.
Dziękuję. Dziękujemy za obecność. Proszę Państwa, kolejne gratulacje.
Ladies and gentlemen, some more congratulations on behalf of the Mayor of the City of Katowice. Letters of congratulations will be said by Mrs. Katarzyna Burek, Deputy Head of the Department of Education and Sports from the Katowice City Office or Katowice City Hall. Good morning, thank you very much. I'm going to hand over the letter in a moment. And so, dear Rector, the excellent Senate, dear Professor Ferré, let me, on behalf of Mayor Dr. Marcin Krupa, the Mayor of Katowice, a city of science, and on my own behalf, let me bow before you and thank for your great contribution to development of science. You have been not only a prominent scientist, but also a charismatic master and mentor for many generations of scientists and students. It is a very difficult and responsible task, especially in view of so multiple changes and many discoveries. I wish for your professional and scientific career to continue to develop similarly. And when seeing the photographs of your private life, I am sure that you will always find new paths to discovery in the future. Dear Rector, dear Senate, let these days of science continue. Let the City of Science and the community of the University of Silesia to enjoy happiness and development. Thank you very much.
Proszę Państwa, na tym
Ladies and gentlemen,
koniec oficjalnych wystąpień.
this is the end
Postaram się
of the
jednej
official statements, apart from the most important one. And whoever wants to congratulate Professor Ferré will have the chance to do it in the hall after we finish this ceremony. Naturally, we have received numerous letters with words of congratulations, which I'm going to hand over to Professor Ferré.
Są na sali oczywiście liczne delegacje.
We have numerous delegations in this room who want to congratulate him and express their respect for his achievements. But, as I have already said, please do it after the ceremony. Right now, it's the element we've all been looking forward to. So I'm asking now Dr. Honoris Causa of the University of Silesia, Professor Román Tauler Ferré, to take the floor. Professor.
Okay. Many of the things I will say have been already said, but of course I had this prepared before and I didn't know what they will tell about me, so sorry if it is a little long. Okay, excellent and magnificent rector of the University of Katowice, authorities, Professor Michał Daszykowski, Professor Alejandro Olivieri, Professor Olav Kvalheim, Professor Beata Walczak, ladies and gentlemen, family and friends. First of all, I would like to thank the rector and the governing board of this university for giving me this high distinction of Doctor Honoris Causa for the University of Silesia. My speech will be not long, and I will give a review of my research career since I finished my PhD in 1984. This research evolution concerns principally with my efforts for the development and application of new chemometric methods and of their application to analytical chemistry, solution chemistry, environmental chemistry, and more recently to the environmental omics field. During these more than 30 years of work, I have tried to integrate and establish bridges between these different scientific disciplines. And I will explain briefly the most relevant features of this research career. My research activity began in 1977 when I started my master and then my PhD at the Department of Analytical Chemistry of the University of Barcelona under the supervision of Professor Enric Casasas, who was an eminent scientist in physical and analytical chemistry in Catalonia, and also the president of the Institute of Estudis Catalans, the National Academy of Sciences in Catalonia, and a strong promoter of the Catalan language and culture. In my PhD, I was studying the formation of mixed ligand metal complexes in solution using potentiometric electroanalytical methods, specialized in the experimental and numerical computation of thermodynamic parameters and in the chemical speciation of multi-equilibria systems, including the simultaneous formation of binary and mixed ligand metal complexes in solution. On completion of my PhD in 1984, I was awarded with a postdoc stay at the Institut für Anorganische und Analytische Chemie of the University of Innsbruck in Austria, with Professor Dr. Bernard Rodet, a theoretical chemist who had a broad scientific perspective and wanted to explore innovative uses of electron spin resonance and nuclear magnetic resonance and other spectroscopies for the determination of structural and thermodynamic parameters of metal complexes in solution. and correlate them with quantum chemistry computational results obtained in the study of the same systems. Together with my wife, Clara, who is present here today, we were enjoying very much our stay in the city of Innsbruck, in the middle of the Tyrolean Alps, where apart from my research work, we were delighting wandern, skiing, and langlaufen, and the good friendship and people we met there. On my return to the University of Barcelona in 1987, I got a permanent position as associate professor in the Department of Analytical Chemistry of the University of Barcelona. And from this point until 1992, my research work evolved gradually from experimental and computational methods in solution chemistry, equilibria and kinetics, to chemometrics, who was then an emerging field because of the widespread use of computers in the chemistry laboratories. My research was focused on the development of alternative factor analysis methods to investigate multi-equilibria in analytical and bioanalytical systems using spectroscopic methods following my previous work I did in Innsbruck. In 1992, I was again awarded with a one-year sabbatical leave to the Center for Process Analytical Chemistry in the University of Washington in Seattle, United States, as a visiting scientist in the chemometrics research group led by Professor Dr. Bruce Kowalski, which was at that time a well-known pioneer and promoter of chemometrics. In this research group, I established very good scientific and personal relationships with several researchers in the field, like Dr. Ahas Milde, Dr. Barry Weiss, Yondong Wang, Dr. Carl Busks, and others, who were afterwards very influential in the development of the chemometrics field. When we, with my wife, moved to Seattle, we had already 2 children, Mateo and Elena, and we were enjoying very much our stay in Seattle in the magnificent scenario of the Puget Sound Bay, Mont Rainier in the North Cascades and the Olympic Peninsula, hiking and camping around the northwest of the United States. My stay in the chemometrics Kowalski's group convinced me to continue working in this field and facilitated me my international collaborations and recognition. It was then, on the basis of my previous expertise and knowledge in solution and analytical chemistry, and as a consequence of the urgent need for the development of appropriate data analysis methods in these fields, that I was developing the multivariate Q-resolution alternating least squares method, which has evolved as one of the preferred methods in chemometrics for the direct investigation and resolution of complex multi-component mixture systems using a minimum number of assumptions. It was during my research stay in Seattle when I extended the possibility to perform what we call multi-set and multi-way data analysis with this method, introducing the implementation of new constraints which allow me, which allow the multilinear modeling of chemical data. In relation to MCILS, this term merged 2 concepts. On one side, in parallel to the multivariate calibration methods already introduced in analytical chemistry in contraposition to the traditional univariate calibration methods used at that time, Bruce Kowalski was proposing me to choose the term of multivariate co-resolution, or shortly MCA, instead of using self-modeling co-resolution as it was referred until then. On the other side, when I was back in Barcelona, we added alternating least squares, which was a term being used in different scientific environments, including Professor Massar's group in the University of Brussels, with whom I also had a very good relation and cooperation in the frame of different European projects and PhD students exchange programs. This was finally named multivariate co-resolution alternating least squares, or shorter MCILS method. In the following approximately 10 years of intense docent activity in the University of Barcelona, I was extending the use of this method to analyze other types of chemical problems, including the spectroanalytical and electroanalytical study of biomolecules in solution, and the analysis of complex chemical mixtures by hyphenated chromatographic methods and hyperspectral imaging. In 1994, I was awarded with the Martí Franquès Prize from the Institut d'Estudis Catalans, precisely for my work developing this method. Also, during these years in the university, together with Professor Casasas, my mentor, and other colleague, especially Dr. Ana de Juan, we were forming the research group of chemometrics, and we achieved the introduction and consolidation of the chemometrics field in the undergraduate, graduate, master, and PhD curricula of this university. And together with other research groups from the University of Spain and from other countries, we were working in the promotion and spread of chemometrics in Spain, in Europe, and in the world. In this direction, we participated in several European-funded international projects related with the standardization and application of chemometric methods, for instance, in the Standards Materials and Testing Program. These were years of a very intense family life with our new daughter, Gemma, taking care of our already 3 children, which were growing in age, and we were also getting older. A new period of my senior scientific career started in 2003 as a full CSIC research professor. CSIC is the Scientific National Council of Research in Spain. It's the largest research institution in Spain. Working at the Institute for Environmental Assessment and Water Research, also in Barcelona. And in this new working environment, I established new interdisciplinary relations with scientists working in the environmental field, just to mention a few of them, with Dr. Damià Barceló, who was my friend, and also we did the PhD together, Dr. Silvia Lacorte, who is also a very good friend from mine, Dr. Joan Grimal, Dr. Antoni Ginabreda, Carlos Barata, Dr. Benjamí Piña, and others, with whom I established scientific cooperation in the frame of this institution. Since then, I have been focusing my research activity on the application of chemometrics methods to environmental and global change type of problems, such as in environmental monitoring, modeling, apportionment of pollution sources in surface water and air, and more recently, as said before, also here, on the evaluation of the effects and risks of environmental hazards on the genomic, metabolomic, lipidomic, and proteomic profiles of biological organisms. One of the very exciting initiatives associated to my work in this research environment was the possibility to participate in environmental and global change research projects, such as the one I was participating in the Arctic Ocean in 2007, collecting water and ice samples, analyzing in them the presence of organic pollutants, which were released at intermediate latitudes of the world and arrived to the poles through atmospheric circulation, and collecting data that I used to perform chemometrics and geographical mapping, modeling of the ocean water parameters and changes observed during these campaigns. My research activities and achievements in the chemometrics field were also internationally recognized, for instance, with the Kowalski Prize, from the Wiley Journal of Chemometrics, or with the Chemometrics Award from the Easter Analytical Symposium in the United States also in 2009. I have been participating in several national and European Union research projects and contracts. And in 2013, I was awarded with the Advanced Research Grant of the European Research Council to apply chemometrics for the environmental omics field during 5 years, which allowed the consolidation of the chemometrics for environmental omics research group in this new institute I was at that time. During these years, I also spent a significant part of my working time in the promotion and edition of chemometrics international journals, especially as editor-in-chief of the Chemometrics Intelligent Laboratory Systems, has been mentioned here, since 2008, and also as a co-editor of the major reference work, Comprehensive Chemometrics of Elsevier. I want also to mention my involvement with the Catalan Chemistry Society, of which I was the president in the period 2008-2013, and my present work this year, for instance, at the Radboud University of Nijmegen in the Netherlands, through its excellent initiative, Professor Visiting Award, an initiative coming from Professor Boydens of this university. I do not want to finish my talk without addressing my gratitude to all the people who have been working with me closely during all these years, especially to these 27 PhD students I was supervising, which I cannot list here for brevity, and also to my co-workers, especially Dr. Ana de Juan from the University of Barcelona, Dr. Silvia Lacorte, Dr. Joaquim Joamot, Dr. Carme Bedia, and Dr. Stefan Platikanov from my research group in the East Institute. Many and also many other research collaborators and visiting researchers from different countries, and especially also to all my family and friends. My sincere gratitude for their encouragement and patience during all these years of intense work and activity. And finally, I want to express my profound gratitude, appreciation to my colleague from the University of Silesia, Professors Beata Walczak, Michał Daszykowski, and Ivana Stariminova, especially for thinking and proposing me for this high distinction of this university. This is my second time here in my 2010, I think, or I don't remember exactly, but it was around this. I was giving a chemometrics course in this university, and as it is happening today, I appreciate very much my visit here with you in Katowice. This is coinciding with what seems to be the end of the COVID pandemic, seems to be, we will see, which fortunately allows us to reinitiate our normal presential activities. But unfortunately, it is also coinciding with this incomprehensible war in the neighbor Ukraine, which is causing so much horror and pain to the people, families, and to you also. You are here in Poland, and because of its proximity and consequences for you. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Dziękuję bardzo panu profesorowi za tę opowieść o swoim życiu naukowym, ale też opowieść o szczęśliwym życiu naukowca. Widziałem pana profesora. Cieszymy się tym.
Scientist. We are happy especially that the University of Silesia, this community, this faculty, researchers, friends, we have become a significant element on your path, I believe, for which I am very, very happy. Dear ladies and gentlemen, please stand up. We are almost at the very end of our celebration. I'd like to thank all the eminent guests for participation in this ceremony. And I'd like to announce that the ceremony of awarding the title of Doctor Honoris Causa to Professor Román Tauler Ferré as complete.
Wielce szanownej pani profesor dr
I'd like to thank Professor Danuta Stróż, Dean of the Faculty of Exact and Technical Sciences. Thank you very much for allowing us to meet here in this room, for making it available to us so that we can all have this happy moment in this celebration. I'd like to thank all the employees for the great assistance in preparing this ceremony. I'd like to thank the choir and the didactic choir of the University of Silesia under the supervision of Dr. Aleksandra Zeman, as well as I'd like to thank the silent choir, which you can see right here. It's the silent choir of the University of Silesia, under the supervision of Professor Anna Duch. It's a unique choir of which we're very proud. I'd like to thank both the supervisors of both choirs right now, and thank you very much for allowing your choirs to perform during this celebration.